Deep inside your body, in every cell, lies a code. It is not written in ink, nor carved in stone. It is a story written in molecules, a story billions of years old. Most of it we know. It tells us how we are human, how we descend from apes, how we share bloodlines with Neanderthals and Denisovans. But hidden between those lines, deep in the spirals of your DNA, there are shadows. Traces of something that should not be there. Genetic fingerprints that don't belong to us, are to Neanderthals or to Denisovans. They belong to someone else. Someone who lived and walked and loved and died. A human species we have never seen. A ghost ancestor. Scientists call them ghost species. Not because they were supernatural, but because they are invisible. They left no bones, no skulls, no tools we can point to with certainty, and yet they left a mark on us. Their DNA is inside our bodies, quietly living on. Like ghosts, they haunt us from within, but who were they? And why did they vanish? To answer that, we must step back long before our time, into a world where we were not alone. The human family tree is not a straight line. It is a web. Tangled, broken, full of branches that sprouted and snapped. For much of history, we were just one species among many. Neanderthals ruled Ice Age Europe, stocky and strong, their eyes sharp against the frozen winds. Denisovans roamed the mountains of Asia, a mystery people known only from a handful of bones and teeth. Yet, their bloodline still flows in populations today from Tibet to Melanesia. And then there was us, Homo sapiens. We left Africa, spread across continents, and in time we became the only survivors. Asterisk, but the more we study our DNA, the more it tells us that Neanderthals and Denisovans were not the whole story. There were others. Other humans, unknown to science, who left no skeletons for us to find. And yet, when our ancestors met them, they did not just fight them. They mixed with them. Their blood became our blood. Their shadows live in us still. The discovery came not from bones in the ground, but from computers in laboratories. In the last 2 decades, scientists began sequencing ancient genomes, extracting DNA from Neanderthal bones, from Denisovan teeth. When they compared those sequences to modern humans, they found overlaps, showing where we interbred. But in the comparisons, there were also anomalies. Strange segments of DNA that did not match Neanderthal, did not match Denisovan, and yet were not ours either. Something else was there. Something no one expected. The best way to imagine it is like listening to an orchestra. You hear violins, drums, trumpets, familiar instruments. But then, beneath it all, there's another sound, faint but distinct. A sound that doesn't belong to any known instrument. You know it's there, but you can't see the player. That is the ghost species. Geneticists studying people in Nigeria and Sierra Leone found ancient DNA fragments that did not match any known lineage. They concluded that around 200,000 years ago, humans in Africa interbred with another hominin, one completely unknown to science. No fossils exist. No name exists. But its descendants still walk among us, carrying fragments of its genome in their blood. Another case appeared in Asia, Denisovans themselves. It seems carried ghost DNA from yet another unknown species. That means our ghosts had their own ghosts. A chain of vanished cousins overlapping, interbreeding, and vanishing again. For decades, the picture of human history was simple. We thought it was us versus the Neanderthals, maybe the Denisovans too. But the reality is far stranger. We are not the end of a clean evolutionary ladder. We are a mosaic, a patchwork of many humans who once lived but are now gone. Why then, if they lived among us, had we never found their bones? There are theories. Perhaps their fossils are buried deep in African soils, too hot and humid for DNA to survive. Perhaps they lived in regions we have not yet excavated, caves still sealed, deserts still unexplored, jungles hiding secrets. Or perhaps they were few in number. Small populations, living and dying in obscurity. The truth is haunting. Entire peoples, entire species may have existed for thousands of years, and we may never know their names, their faces, their stories, but one thing is certain: they live inside us. Some of us carry immune system adaptations from Neanderthals. Some of us carry Denisovan genes that help us breathe at high altitudes. And from the ghost species, we may carry traits we cannot even recognize yet, pieces of their lives. You look in the mirror and think you are human, entirely human, but in the strands of your DNA, buried deep there, are fragments that are not fully Homo sapiens. There are shadows of strangers. Strangers who once held their children, once lit fires against the night, once gazed at the same stars. And then were gone, extinct, erased from Earth, and yet not completely. These haunt the present. They remind us that history is never complete, that our story is not a single story, but many stories, braided together, and most of those stories belong to the dead dot. Think of this. Every breath you take, every step you walk, every heartbeat is carried forward, not just by your ancestors, but by those you will never know. You are a walking graveyard of forgotten species. Their bones may have turned to dust. Their faces may never be seen again. But their blood, their code, their whispers remain dots, so the next time you wonder who you are, remember that you are not just one thing. You are not just Homo sapiens. You are the child of ghosts.